Skydiving is the most common bucket list item, and therefore I've done it as well. Welcome back to another episode of Tick Off Tuesday. My name is Joel. This is my bucket list with 100 things that I want to do before I die, and I have already ticked off half of that list and created a lot of amazing memories. And in this show, I want to inspire you to also take action on your own bucket list and create amazing memories. So today, I want to talk about how I got my skydiving license, and hopefully I can inspire you to do the same if you also are into this kind of action sports. But before I'm talking about the details on how this happened exactly, today happens to be the last day of our Take Action Accountability Challenge. So basically the idea of this challenge is for everyone, probably you as well, who has something that they have been postponing for way too long, to come together as a community and commit to that goal. And then you have 30 days to commit. And you can also set stakes in form of money. And this is where it gets very interesting, because you can say, for example, I want to put 100 euros on the line that I finally commit to what I have been postponing for way too long. And if you succeed, you will get that money back. But if you don't succeed, you have to donate that money to a charity. And this is so cool because it created so much accountability and a lot of pressure for some people. And we had over 1,000 euros on the line that people put into this pot. And I definitely didn't expect that people would set such high goals, letting alone achieving them. We had someone who resigned from his job that was very well paying, but he knew that it's just not where his passion lies. So that's a very life-changing thing. Then we also had someone who finished his bachelor thesis, someone who passed a really big exam, and she committed to learning 90 minutes every day for those 30 days. We also had someone that sticked to a diet for the 30 days. So yeah, just a lot of amazing things that happened during this challenge. And that's why I just want to continue this challenge. So the next challenge starts on the 1st of March. And if you also have something that you keep postponing, then you can of course participate as well. I put more details in the description for you to check out. But yeah, now back to this. How did I get my skydiving license? When I wrote my list in 2020, I definitely already knew, okay, I need to get my skydiving license. I mean, of course, because it was one of the goals, but also there are 2 or even 3 other goals I need the skydiving license for. So for example, I want to skydive out of a helicopter, which I also have already accomplished. But then I also want to skydive out of a hot air balloon, which I haven't done yet, but hopefully it will happen this summer. And then the third one is I want to stand on top of a hot air balloon. And in order to do that, it makes sense to have your own parachute on as well, because when you're on the top, at some point you also want to jump off, obviously. So yeah, I knew I need to get the skydiving license. However, it is kind of a big thing. It is expensive. It takes several weeks or several months to get it. So it's definitely something where you need to put in the time in order to get it. And of course, you need that money to have saved up. However, it was just me who wanted... My Polaroids keep falling down because I need to replace the stickers. They're not very good. The issue is that it was only me, and therefore I had not enough pressure to actually commit and sign up to do the skydiving license. What I did is I told this to many of my friends that I want to get my skydiving license. And to my surprise, there were 2 other guys who were like, hey, I want to do that too. I'm gonna join you. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, cool, nice. Now there are other people, and I got a little bit more pressure. And then there was a point where I went for dinner with some friends, and then all of a sudden someone on that table told the entire group, like, hey, did you know that Joel and those other 2 guys, they will do their skydiving license this summer? I was like, we didn't talk about this, that it will happen this summer, but I guess now, because everyone knows about it, we kind of have to do it. So that was the time when we knew that, okay, now we cannot postpone this any longer, because now everyone knows about it, we need to commit. And literally 1 week later, we signed up to get the skydiving license. And then it started. And to get the skydiving license in Austria, you actually need 29 jumps, from which 7 of them are with coaches. So there's this intense week of practicing. Like, of course, you have a lot of theoretical parts in the beginning that you know what you have to do. That's the first day, that is very intense. And then half of the day during the second day is like a lot of theoretical part. And that was very crazy because you knew that you need to listen to that because your life pretty much depends on it. Because if you don't follow what they tell you, yeah, I don't want to tell you what will happen then when you jump out of an airplane. But there was definitely a lot of pressure and you knew that, okay, you want to get things right. Then on the second day, we already jumped out of an airplane by ourselves. So now obviously there are two coaches that jump with you and that hold you on the left and on the right. So they make sure that you keep control. However, as soon as you pull the parachute, you're on your own and you're like, what is it, like 1,700 meters up in the air on this big ass parachute, and you're there by yourself. And then you need to remember the theoretical part, like what you have to do now. All right, first jump done. So that was intense for sure. But then you have the first 3 jumps with 2 coaches and then the next 4 jumps with 1 instructor. So there's always someone there who keeps an eye on you, and then after the 7th jump, when they say, okay, you can control yourself, you seem to know what you're doing, then you can start jumping on your own. But you don't have the license yet. So you need to do 21 more jumps on your own to kind of like practice and do a lot of different exercises that they give you, but you're all by yourself. And then after 29 jumps in total, you have another coaching jump where someone, an instructor, just jumps with you, looks at you from the distance, and then decides whether or not you're good enough yet to get the license. Luckily, I was good enough after those 29 jumps in total, and I got my skydiving license. Oh yeah, and I didn't tell you about the price yet because it is quite expensive. Back then I paid 2,500 euros, which includes those 29 jumps and all the theoretical part and the rig rental. So basically this entire package to get the license was 2,500 euros for me. That was in Austria. However, I just looked it up before and it got more expensive now. Probably inflation, but yeah, like around 3,000 to 3,500 euros, depending on where you want to get it, is probably what you need to save up. But it's definitely a very absurd feeling to be jumping out of an airplane just like this, and then you have this thing on the back that is called parachute that saves your life every time. Now I have over 100 jumps and I can say that it is definitely worth it to spend that much money on this. So yeah, that's the story about how I got my skydiving license. Maybe I inspired you to also get yours. I definitely recommend it. And also, if you keep postponing something that you want to do for way too long already, then participate in the next 30-day accountability challenge called Take Action. I put more info in the description and I'm looking forward to see your bucket list become reality. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.